Mr. Ludt, earlier this year my wife blindsided me with filing for divorce. This devastated me in many ways. Please know I honestly still love her, so just like in our marriage, I'm more than happy if she gets more. I just don't want to end up homeless. I know this might be highly unusual, but I could really use some advice. To be honest, I'm just scared.
I receive emails like this almost every week. A spouse reaches out after being served with divorce papers. He's missed deadlines. He hasn't responded to legal documents. And when I ask why, the answer is always the same. I didn't want to make things adversarial. I thought we could be fair to each other. Here's what he doesn't realize yet. His biggest obstacle isn't his wife's attorney or the legal system. It's the war happening inside his own head. He still loves his wife. He wants to honor what they built together. The idea of fighting her in court feels like a betrayal of his core values. So he's paralyzed, watching deadlines pass, hoping that his goodwill will somehow be reciprocated. This is the emotional quicksand that swallows people during divorce. In 2 decades of practicing family law, I've learned something critical. You cannot manage a divorce like you managed your marriage. The skills that made you a good spouse, compromise, selflessness, assuming the best, can become liabilities when your marriage is ending. Here's what you need to understand. There's a profound difference between being vindictive and being strategic. Protecting your interests isn't the same as attacking your spouse. Filing a legal response doesn't mean you're going to war. It means you're ensuring both parties negotiate from equal footing. This is why mindset management is one of our core pillars at Atticus Family Law. Our client coach, Tara Eisenhard, works with divorcing spouses to help them navigate exactly this confusion. She teaches a simple but powerful reframe. Stop thinking of your spouse as your ex and start seeing them as your child's other parent or the other party in this business transaction. That shift creates emotional distance without requiring hatred. It allows you to make clear-headed decisions about the future while still honoring what you meant to each other in the past. Here's another tool Tara uses. The space between what happens to you and how you respond is where your power lives. When your ex sends a provocative message, you have a choice. You can spiral into anxiety, guilt, or anger. Or you can choose a different thought. This is a negotiation. I can respond strategically. Let me give you a practical exercise. Imagine an old acquaintance from high school. Someone you knew well back then, respected, but haven't stayed close to over the years. Now imagine that person came to you with this exact situation. Served with divorce papers 46 days ago. Told to trust his spouse while her attorney sends deadline warnings. All the assets in her name. Facing homelessness. What would you tell him? You'd tell him to act immediately. You'd see instantly that he's being played. You'd recognize that "will be fair" and "I hired an attorney just to get it done right" are words that don't match the actions. But when you're the one in the situation, you can't see any of this. And here's why. During the marriage, looking out for your spouse, sometimes at your own expense, was the right thing to do. That instinct is so deeply ingrained that you're still operating from it, even though the marriage is over. After 2 decades practicing divorce law, I can tell you this with certainty. During divorce, your worst enemy is often yourself at your most vulnerable. You're making commitments that may be permanent while you're experiencing some of the most intense negative emotions of your life. That's dangerous. A decision you make today in fear or guilt could cost you tens of thousands of dollars, years of custody battles, or decades of regret. If you're going through this right now, here's what you need to hear. Loving your spouse and protecting yourself aren't mutually exclusive. The person you married wouldn't want you homeless. And if they would, then that's precisely why you need to stop managing this divorce like you're still managing a marriage. You can file the legal documents you need to file. You can negotiate for fair asset division. You can protect your future. You can do all of this while maintaining your dignity and refusing to be cruel. But you cannot do that from a place of emotional paralysis. You cannot make sound decisions when you're drowning in guilt, fear, and conflicting loyalties. You need to step outside your situation. You need to become your own high school friend, the one with enough distance to see clearly, to act decisively, to protect your own interests without apology. Divorce isn't just a legal event. It's a life transition. And like any transition, it requires you to let go of old ways of thinking. The mindset that served your past won't create your future. That doesn't make you a bad person. It makes you someone who's learning to navigate one of life's most difficult passages. There's no shame in protecting yourself. In fact, doing so is an act of self-respect, not betrayal. Here's what I know after helping hundreds of people through this process. On the other side of this confusion, there's clarity. On the other side of this fear, there's solid ground. On the other side of this process, there's a new life waiting for you. But you have to be willing to walk through the transition, not around it, and certainly not by pretending it isn't happening. I'm Matthew Ludt, founder of Atticus Family Law, a Minnesota-based family law firm specializing in successful divorce transitions.